EU is going after big tech. They got some big time regulations that are going into effect, but also there's some big collateral damage that comes with these rules. Let's check them out. Hello, I'm Alex Mozet and welcome to Winner Take All, where we talk about the constant battle to fight back and win against big tech monopolies. A couple topics for today, for today's show. One topic is around regulation. We actually haven't talked about some big tech regulation in a few weeks now. You know, this stuff kind of comes in waves, right? So just in the span of a few days, we've had the EU passing some pretty serious rules around big tech regulation. Arguably probably like the biggest rule updates in years, frankly, or at least rules that I think could have some real impact on reining in big tech's overstepping and aggression. So we're going to look at what the EU is doing and then also what the US is doing, which they are doing some things, just not nearly as far along as Europe. No surprise there. And we're also going to have some fun. GameStop is stiffing their management consulting firm to the tune of $30 million, and the firm is now suing GameStop. So kind of a funny story there. Let's check that out. So let's start with regulation. In the past week, the EU has come out with news that they are cracking down on big tech. You know, you have to ask yourself, well, you know, I've kind of heard that story for years now. Is there any there? And the good news is that I actually think there is. They call it the DMA, the Digital Markets Act. There's going to be some pretty serious collateral damage here, and I'm going to talk about what I mean by that. So this bill is not all things good, let's be clear, but I think it will successfully rein in some of big tech, but there will be pretty serious ramifications for that. I don't think these regulators in the EU are really understanding that, but we'll get to that in a second. So they're trying to go after what they are calling these digital gatekeeper companies, which are platforms. What is the bill trying to do? Make messaging apps interoperable so that you can easily, you know, kind of take your friend list, your follower list, I guess, to other apps. That's interesting. Letting users choose a default search engine. This has already been a thing. There's actually already a law, and Google has skirted around this. I don't know, maybe they're kind of trying to change the loopholes that Google found in their compliance to the existing rule that's already in place around search engine selection. Ensuring fair access conditions for app stores. I mean, this is basically targeting Apple and Google. Gaining explicit content consent to combine personal data to target ads. Okay. More GDPR, which honestly honestly backfired and was a failure. Fair conditions on app stores. Good. Protecting producers. Who do platform monopolies take advantage of when they get to monopoly scale? It's actually not the consumer. Maybe on the fringe, the consumer is disadvantaged, but on the whole, consumers are still probably in the positive with all the value they get from these platform monopolies. It's the producers, it's the suppliers who get taken advantage of, right? So ensuring fair access conditions on app stores, big deal. That's helping your app developers not get disadvantaged by Apple and Google. What are some examples of this? Look at Spotify versus Apple and Apple Music. Look at, basically any app. If you talk to the Fortnite folks, they will talk your head off for weeks, if not months, about all the ways that they have been taken advantage of by big tech monopolies, hurting their ability to do what they want in the App Store. But basically, you've seen many of these app stores give their own apps advantages and access to, for example, APIs. With Tile, where Tile wanted access to certain APIs, Apple wouldn't give it to them. Then Apple launches their own competitive product literally the next day while Tile is testifying, to Congress. So you see this all over the place. Tech monopoly advantages their own products, disadvantages third-party products. This is trying to level that playing field as it relates to app stores. The last bullet here, which I think is the most important bullet, is banning platforms from ranking their own products higher than others. So Amazon ranking its own Amazon Basics products higher than other third-party seller products. Boom, that's in trouble. Google Search. Google Search preferring its own websites and its own products over other third-party products. Google Search, big trouble here. This also would have applicability to the App Store, right? If you're favoring Apple Music over Spotify in the App Store rankings, right? You know, the list goes on and on and on in the number of ways that, you know, once these platforms are monopolies, they are essentially also platform conglomerates. And when they have multiple products that are now competing against third-party producers' products, then they favor and advantage their own products. So this comes directly at that. So all that on the face of it is good. The data thing is a quagmire for EU and GDPR. GDPR has helped Apple and Google, not hurt them. Go watch our other video talking about why that is if you're interested. Here's where it gets mucky is what are they defining as a gatekeeper? So negotiators agreed that gatekeepers include companies with a market value of 75 billion euros, okay, or 7.5 billion euros in annual revenue within the EU, and at least 45 million monthly users and 10,000 yearly business users of at least one core platform. That's like a bunch of companies in addition to platforms, right? What they're missing here, and this is frankly the issue that regulators, whether in the EU or in the US or elsewhere, have failed to grasp about platforms and this definition, or regulators and legislators have failed to grasp about the dynamic of the platform business model, is that it's two-sided. You got consumers on one side and you have producers on the other. So nowhere in this definition are they illuminating this dynamic, right? So if you go look at Platt, the ETF that we launched with Wisdom Tree, you can go look at how we created an index to define what is a public stock, a public platform stock, and how do we quantify that and how do we track that? And so if you go on Wisdom Tree's site, learn more about the index that Platt is designed to track. Look at the equity index methodology. Here it is. It's 132 pages of how we have created an index to qualify if you are actually a platform business or not. What's the cheat sheet, the TLDR, is basically there is a producer-consumer dynamic, which does not exist anywhere in this definition. Just as you need to have 45 million monthly users and 10,000 business users, and then you make a bunch of money. So that could be banks, linear transportation companies, right? Like airlines and stuff. I mean, there's so many companies that would fit this definition. It's well-intentioned, but it's lazy. And it's just low-grade quality work, right? Like you're not doing justice to the qualification about the regulatory burden that these rules will have on the economy. So, you know, you're going after a very specific set of audience, and you have some things which are good to rein in big tech's overstepping. And yes, they have absolutely abused their power and they do need to be reined in. Basically the whole point of our show. But it just, you have so many smart people that get paid so much money. You can't give me a better definition of what a digital gatekeeper is. It's ridiculous. So I think this thing goes into effect next year. And it's going to cause chaos for a bunch of large enterprises that are not gatekeepers. If you like this video, go check out our other videos on the topic of EU regulation and legislation. We've covered misvestiture for years. We got a bunch of content on that.